Hi, this is Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's R&K Software Club's video for the week. And the latest designs are in the club for February. I guess it's not February, March 2022. And so if you download the latest free monthly designs and you look in your library for March 22, these are the designs that just came out. And so there's always interesting things that can be learned from the latest monthly designs, and one of the ones that I love to make is these little lace pieces. And so notice that there's a Celtic lace heart, and I'll just go ahead and bring that on my screen. And essentially it's really just a few pieces of satin stitch that are like connected by some run stitches, that if you watch it stitch out, it has a special kind of element to it, and it's this background. So the background really is what says this will be successful if you sew it on the water dissolving material like Wet and Gone, because that mesh background's kind of hold all the pieces of the sort of heart shape together, keeping it nice and connected. And then you'll notice that all the columns have that kind of like a zigzag plus an edge underlay. So notice how there's like quite a bit of like extra stitching that goes underneath those columns so that it all works out. Anyway, this design was made to be stitched on water dissolving material. And optionally, you can put a piece of Mylar. You would put the Mylar after the first color, before the first color, but remove it before the second and third color. So I thought I'd show you guys some pictures. So I just popped up, took a few snapshots while I made my sample. So whenever I do a lace design, and even if I'm just working in a small hoop, I always like to put a little bit of that Floriani's got the perfect grip tape. It just really makes sure that my hoop holds that really soft kind of pretty thin layer of Wet and Gone stabilizer that it's just some hoops don't hold it very well. And the bigger your hoop, the more important this is, and the more stitches you want to put in the hoop, the more important this is, because basically if the fabric can move while you're embroidering a lace design, then it means things are kind of shifting, and then maybe the mesh won't match up with your border, and it could create a gap in the design. So that's why it's important when you're hooping something really sheer like a piece of Wet and Gone to use a little extra gripping aid in there. And essentially you just stitch the design on it. One sort of special note, I always like to match the bobbin thread to the top thread, and that way it looks nice on both sides. And if you just leave like white bobbin thread, then yeah, the back side, when you turn it around, three-dimensionally, you'll see like the white stitching on the back. So I always kind of match up all the colors the best I can. And so basically that's what it looks like when you're finished stitching it. And before you dissolve it, you need to kind of deal with the mess on the backside, right? Because every time the machine, like this red, for example, ties in once, twice, I think 3 times, there's like 3 different places where it starts, and then it has to stop and jump to cross over the sort of green area that came first. And so the point there is there's these little tie-offs on the back, and I always like to clean that up before I dissolve it, because I figure they're going to make the sample look really messy, and it's much easier to trim them while it's still kind of fresh and in the hoop than it is after you get it wet. Sometimes they kind of like stick themselves to the design, and it's really not easy to trim them later. So special note, don't forget to trim them. Now I like to use my squeeze and snip snips and a pair of tweezers, because the tweezers you can like hold on to those little threads, and then gives you a little more resistance for trimming against. Anyhow, so once you're done, you trim all the excess Wet and Gone. I always save my scraps of that because it's great for doing other things like kind of remaking things stiffer later. Like it's almost like a liquid starch once you add it to water. But in this case, what we do is we trim the excess, and then I just use water in the sink. I run the water in my sink as hot as it'll go, and then I plug the sink and put a little bit in the bottom, just for a little piece of lace like this. You don't need a lot of water, and then it's just in, out. Probably you don't leave it in the water more than 10 seconds. When it's wet, you need to be very careful because it's quite delicate, and until it dries, it's quite pliable, and if you want it to look nice and flat and stay in a nice uniform shape, you kind of got to be careful while it's wet. So I guess that's trimmed. Is that the same picture? Anyway, there it is now that it's kind of like dissolved. And Yeah, and at that point, I just let it dry overnight, and it's usually nice and crisp the next day. If you left it in the water longer, then more of the, what happens is that stabilizer dissolves, but a lot of it sort of absorbs to the thread and becomes like a starch. And that's why the lace pieces can always be very firm. As some of my lace pieces might be meant to be soft and delicate, and in that case, you would rinse it a lot more, to get more and more of that sort of wet and gone away from the thread. But for a little ornament like this, it's in the water and then out again. That's all it takes. The optional part of this was the Mylar. So the Mylar, when you start, now I'm starting again, and this time I tape down the Mylar prior to starting the first color, and then after the first color, I remove the Mylar. So by removing the Mylar before the next color comes, then, the green and the red sort of borders clean up the edges where the Mylar was torn away. Anyway, Mylar is a product you can use as a topper to make your designs kind of more sparkly. And so that's what it turns out like when you make it with the Mylar on the inside. So it's still kind of translucent and you can see through them, but they're also kind of a little bit extra because they're sparkly. Anyway, with or without the Mylar, I hope you enjoy the lace design. There was one more thing. So in those notes, notice that we put a little bit of notes in there that kind of explained, about the optional Mylar and that kind of stuff. Now, the other one I was going to show you guys was the applique design. Let me just kind of do empty workspace and then go back to those designs. I thought you might want to know, I guess, how you can easily combine the appliques. Because, for example, the owl is an applique and so are these flowers. And the flowers are, well, let me bring the photograph in first of all. So this is the stitch out that I made here. And although I used the same fabric for each of the flowers, I kind of moved it to a different part of that little beachy scene, and that gave it, kind of a unique flower look to it. That said, they're all individual appliques. So I may have used the same green for all 4 leaves, but you could use 3 or 4 different greens. Maybe you want to do one with polka dots and one with stripes and one with checks, or I don't know, but it could be anything. And same thing with the flower pots. There's an applique for each pot and each sort of pot top. So that's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 appliques. And so when you bring the design in, it has a lot of stops, right? That's like, 3, I guess 2, 3 color stops for each applique. So if I bring that in, hide the picture, and then I'll just zoom in over top of the design. And so it's going to do the flower pot at the bottom and then the top of the flower pot at the bottom. And notice that it does all 3 colors of each applique individually, and so it's a lot of color stops, I guess is the point. And that's been done intentionally to give you the maximum options. But sometimes people are like, well, I'm just going to do the flowers in the same fabric anyways, and so do I really need to stop and do each flower like one at a time? Well, yes and no. I mean, it's not wrong to do one applique, then the next applique, and the next applique. That said, it's also not wrong to lay one piece of applique fabric down and have it sew all 3 flower sort of placement lines or trim lines, and then trace, trim around them all at one time, and then put it back on the machine and do all the blanket edges all at one time. Why would I do them one at a time? Well, because there's less chance of anything getting moved if it was stretchy fabric, if you didn't do a good job hooping it, or it was kind of starting to bunch up in the sides a little bit. Maybe doing one then the next would make it, I guess the worry is if you do all 3, then when you get it to the third one and you're putting the blanket edge around the third one, that quite a few stitches have happened since when you trimmed that fabric. And perhaps something's moved. On a design like this, really, to be honest, I don't think it's going to matter. But when there's other embroidery elements that create kind of tension on the fabric, this is all applique and there's very little regular embroidery, but some of our designs have some, of both styles, applique and regular solid embroidery. Anyway, all I was really wanting to show you guys, get on with it, Trevor, is if you select all three of these, like one over here on the right, if I just hold down shift on my keyboard and select all three, and I know how important it would be to find a new design layout here, because they're all blue, and when you click on one, the highlight color is blue. And so I will tell you that I've had that comment from a lot of people, and that we are looking for a way to kind of improve that part of the user interface. I'm not sure when that'll happen, but it is high on the priority list of like maybe finding another way. We like that it's colored and it's easy to see the colors of our design, but it is weird when you got a whole bunch of blues in here and you're trying to select some of them. Numbers is one of the things that we've discussed, numbering all this stuff so that when you're looking through the segments, they're all numbered. All I'm going to say is for now, this is the way it is. And but what I will say is I've selected all three, and you can see, you can still tell, right? Like, let me click off, nothing's selected. And if I click on that one, you can tell that's the one that's selected. It's kind of highlighted around it. And if I hold down shift and then go here, I can see what I got. And you can tell over here what I selected because it gets that selection box around it. You do have the ability to change this color of what gets, if your design was all pink and you're like, now I can't tell which parts are selected. In your properties, in the preference of the program, up here, you do have the ability to go, and I guess that's on the View tab, where it tells you what color your highlighted selection will be. So if you don't like pink and you want to change the color, you can come to here and make it be whatever color you want. So I don't know, yellow I guess might be another alternative, but whatever it is, that's the highlight color that whatever you select gets highlighted. And so notice when I just click on one shape and it selects everything, that's because when you bring designs in from your library, they kind of all come in group together. So if I click on group, then I can just click on that one applique, and that's another way to select it. And then if I hold down my control key, I could click on that one and then come over and click on that one. So look, there's lots of different ways to select three shapes. Either way, once you selected all three shapes, if you would rather these be one color stop for, I guess 3 color stops, because remember, they are appliques. So for each flower in the sewing sequence, there's going to be that run stitch line, the placement line, and then the blanket edge tack down line. And so what I'm saying is if I select all three of them, however I do, it's this tool here that I wanted to highlight, the combine tool. So it looks like a paper clip over top of a kind of a sheet of paper. There's the opposite of it is break apart. So if you wanted to kind of undo whatever you did later, that would be the way. But right now it's combine. And so by combining, it tells the program that these three shapes are going to be one applique. And therefore, notice now in the color sequence that those three applique shapes were all combined into one little kind of like color tray like this, because they've got it right now set so that each sort of one goes blue placement line, red tack down or trim, that's the line that you trim around, right? And I usually set that so that it's a double run line. So you do in the applique properties, it's set as a blanket edge with about a 3 millimeter width and 3.5 millimeter density. So that's how long they are and how close they are together. And then on the applique extra tab, I set the tack down to be a double run. So that means for every applique shape, when it stitches, it'll do a placement line and stop. And now you'll place your fabric over top of that area. Then when it starts again, it will do the run stitch, and I've got it for a double, so it kind of goes around the horn twice. Once it finishes sewing the double run, you trim against that with your scissors. And then when you push start the next time, it does the blanket edge to cover that up. And of course, there's other options for cover stitches, and you could easily come in here and make all sorts of modifications to these appliques. But what I thought you might want to know quickly is if you're just doing all the leaves the same color and you want to do it all at one time, it's not wrong to select all 4 leaves and hit your combine tool. And so we provided the design with all the maximum color options, but you can easily rearrange them, and if you were like, well, I'm going to do all the same flower pots, but then I'll have the stripe on them different, then you could literally hold down one flower pot, hold down your control key on your keyboard, click on the next one, click on the next one. So now you've selected at random kind of 3 different shapes, but now when you hit combine, they get all grouped together and become one shape. And so I guess if you were going to do all the tops to the pots in the same, then you could finish this whole thing off and just combine those ones up too. And now you can decide which comes first and second. If you're like, actually I want to do the leaves first, and those are the leaves, then you pick on that and you click on first and it'll go right to the top. And if you're like, actually, I want to do the flowers last, then you can send that to the bottom. And I guess the only other color that's still in here is there's a separate color for the stems. So notice that I made those all, but they're not an applique. They're just a straight up run stitch, kind of like back stitch actually is what they are. And one final thing note about this design, it's kind of funny, is the centers of the flowers were included as artwork pieces, but not stitched, because in the sample that I made, I put buttons on there. And so that was kind of the idea, was it would show you where the button went, but you could definitely just sew a button onto your flower. That said, if you're like, I would rather embroider it, then you have the artwork there to decide what kind of embroidery you want to put in there. And maybe I guess a unique selection might be to do with some kind of a textured or a motif fill, and maybe make it a little smaller so that it kind of has a bunch of them that sort of fit in your little spot like that, and you could do something unique for your flower centers as well. If in that case, if you do a motif, this is another trick for you. I always like to, after the motif is done, I'll copy it and paste it and make the second one be a run stitch outline, and that just kind of cleans up any of the sort of empty spaces that were kind of voids before. And so a little tip, if you're going to do a motif for a solid shape and you want it to look clean, put a run stitch afterwards to end it. And so yeah, notice that when I did copy and paste that, it comes to the bottom of the design. And so to make this nice and neat, I'd probably click on that and drag and then let go of it on top of the thing that it comes after. See? And so one last note, notice how it's like color red and color red, but they're really meant to be the same color red. So once again, you got to select them. You don't need to combine them, but if you select the 2 colors and you do click on the color in the color bar, it will unite them to be one color stop, so that you don't have color stop, color stop, color stop. There's an easy way to do that one too, by the way. And that's just to use the color reduce. There's a tool here on the toolbar that says, this one, that says color sort. So if you end up kind of like making 4 reds that all just go in a sequence and you click on color sort, the software will clean that up for you, I guess. But sometimes we purposely want them to be separate colors, stops. So even though it's going to be red and then red, and that's why you have the option. Okay, you guys, kind of meandering a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed the designs for March 2022, and I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Until next week, have a great day. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.